Hello. In this video, we're going to talk about some basic things that you need to do as a viol player to keep your instrument in good shape. One thing that you need to do is keep a supply of strings. Supply of strings doesn't mean you need to have all 6 or 7 strings. The low wound strings hardly ever break. I think in 40 years I've broken one. You change them when they get tarnished or they don't look so good or they start being out of tune, but they don't really break. What really breaks, unfortunately, is the top string, which is very thin, so you should always have 2 of them handy. 2 second string A, maybe 1 E, and eventually 1 C. The gauges for these strings are in millimeters. So it's like shoes. Nobody's going to know what's the right gauge string for you. It depends if you have a big or a small bass viol. But the top string can range anywhere from 68 to, let's say, 76 millimeters. 76 is very thick. The second string could be anywhere from 90 to, let's say, 96 millimeters. The third string could be anywhere from, let's say, 120 to 126, which is a very thick string. And the fourth, 145 millimeters to 155. For string makers, there's many all over the world. If you're in North America, you can order off the internet, as you can in Europe or in China or wherever you are. In America, Gamut Strings is a very complete website and will allow you to figure out exactly the right gauge strings, and they're a very, very good manufacturer. There's Gamut also in Europe, but there's also Aquila, which is in Italy, Toro. One of the ones that are popular in France also are Barocco strings. And there's Baldock, there's millions of different strings, Frascina, there's hundreds of different manufacturers. Also in Germany there's Pure Chord, whatever. You'll find them on the internet and you can order these strings. Now, one thing that people make mistakes about is how they wind the strings on the peg. Look at my pegs. You notice that this part of the peg is thicker and this part is thinner. So the peg needs to be pushed into the peg box to hold. For that, you need to put some windings in the middle, but also at the end, a few windings need to touch the peg box, as you can see here. Each of the strings touches the peg box, and that forces the peg into the peg box. Without that, if you put it around the middle of the peg is going to unwind, and that is not very good. Also, some of the other things is you should find an instrument builder. There are many, many viol builders all over the world, but if you need to have something done and there's not a viol builder available, you can have your local violin or cello or even eventually guitar maker do some things. One thing that I need to do on my 1741 French viol is inside the viol from here to here there's a little wood post called a sound post, and in the summer when the wood is all full of humidity and so it's all sort of expanded, the sound post has to be moved to a different position than in the winter when it's drier. So that can only be done by an instrument maker, but you need to change your strings and make sure that they touch the side of the peg box. So now we can close this window and go on to our next lesson. Thanks for listening.